Stay hydrated. Hi guys, welcome to a video today where I talk about water. Hi guys, welcome to a video today where I talk about thing on video. Today I'm going to be talking about a thing. You might retain a few little bits of information and then it's not going to further you as a human being or anything, but you might go, huh, that's interesting. And that's all that's going to happen today. We're not actually, you're not gonna, this isn't gonna benefit you as a person. This isn't gonna put you like in the right direction in life. Actually, I can probably do the complete opposite, really. But you guys know how like rock stars are seen as like these crazy ass fucking mad lads with these fucking mental crazy lives. Like fucking Randy Rhoads gets the airplane to like try and buzz across a tour bus, but boom, he dies. Nicky Sixx overdoses on heroin, but he lives. Dimebag Darrell being shot on stage, you know, just like crazy shit. Imagine if all of those things I mentioned came together and they had like this really fucked up little baby, and that little baby grew up, and as it grew up, it outdone all the fuckery that I mentioned before. Because that exists. It's in the form of a band. A black metal band from Norway known as Mayhem. Black metal is a genre of music that's always been personified as like this absolutely batshit crazy fucking murderous, satanic, just crazy thing. It's like transcended music to the point where when a lot of people hear the words black metal, instead of going, oh, music, they go, oh, literal Satanism. This was really like kind of brought into the mainstream by a Norwegian band called Mayhem. This all started when a man named Øystein, I think it's like Øystein Asif, I don't fucking know how to pronounce that, better known as Euronymous. Now, Euronymous, as we're going to call him, because I can't fucking pronounce I think it's Øystein, but like, you don't really pronounce it, like Øystein, something like that. Anyway, we're going to refer to him by Euronymous. Euronymous is one of the founding members of the band Mayhem. Him and, where are the other guys? Jorn Stubberud, better known as Necrobutcher, the drummer Kjetil Mayhem. This lineup caused a problem, because they had a bassist, they had a guitarist, they had a drummer, but no vocalist, and they wanted vocals because they're a band. So without any real direction as to where to go to find a vocalist, or any vocals they knew or anything like that, they decided that Euronymous was going to play guitar and do vocals. So they released a demo called Pure Fucking Armageddon, which is hard to market because Pure Fucking Armageddon. By the way, this all happened, they formed in 1984, and the demo comes out shortly afterwards. Shortly after the demo release, they realised that if they really wanted to get anyone for music, they were going to need a vocalist. So they hired two different session vocalists, none of which lasted too long. One of them played one show with them, but ultimately left. The band was still struggling to really find a vocalist or like anyone who could fill that role until 1988, when they came across a man called, let's pronounce this, Per Ingv Olin, a highly disturbed and depressed individual who was known for the following things, who was known to wear shirts with funeral announcements printed on them, and hoarded dead birds, and according to some accounts, would sleep in a bed with them. He was just overall extremely obsessed with the idea of death, which brought on the stage name that he used, which was Dead. Upon joining, it was obvious that Dead and Euronymous were not getting along at all. Mainly, it was just Euronymous, I guess, like, feeding into his obsession with death and, like, his self-hatred. Like, often Dead would talk about suicide and self-harm and stuff, and Euronymous would be like, oh, do it, pussy. By the way, I know this shit's a touchy subject, so if you guys like need help, there's links in the description, because I'm a good good guy Fitz. But to the band, Dead's voice was like the black metal equivalent of Angelic. I think it's like Angelic. And his voice was pretty good, and his stage persona was perfect. He'd wear corpse paint, which is like the black and white, kind of like Kiss paint, but it's not done to be like cool and trendy. It's done to look like a fucking corpse. And he was also known to bury his clothes that he was going to wear on the night of the gig, and then dig them up just before the show to put them on, just so it's like nice and dirty and like a dead body. Dead is still praised to this day for being like the founder of the corpse paint though, because it's like a symbol of black metal, and it's like, you know, it's pretty cool. And if you thought that wasn't crazy enough to rock up to your show with like the dirtiest fucking clothes and fucking corpse paint, they'd also impale sheep and pig heads on spikes at the front of the stage. They also fucking Dead decided to pull one out of the Sid Vicious playbook and would often like harm himself on stage with either a hunting knife or broken glass. In 1990, the group moved to a small house in the middle of the woods just outside of Oslo in Norway. This was done to try and isolate themselves so they could just focus on their music. Now, some pretty fucking crazy shit happened while they were living in this house. For example, one night Euronymous was playing synth music really loud. Dead hated it, and instead of like causing a fight or something, he just left and went to sleep in the woods. And then Euronymous decided to go outside with a shotgun and started shooting into the woods and into the sky and shit, just to try and scare him, I guess. But his obsession with death and that combined, that's pretty fucked up. It's also said that at one point Euronymous got to Dead so much that he tried to stand up for himself and just stabbed him. But like, it hasn't been confirmed or denied, although it wouldn't be out of character for Euronymous to, you know, get stabbed. So basically, the tensions were just growing between the two. They just kept stepping on each other's toes and getting really pissed off with each other. And to cut a long story short, the feud came to an end on the 8th of April 1991 when Euronymous returned home to find that Dead had shot himself. Upon seeing this, instead of, you know, being a good human being and being like, oh shit, my friend's just fucking killed himself, he went out and bought a disposable camera, which he used to take several photos of Dead's body, one of which ended up being used as the album cover for a live album called Dawn of the Black Hearts, which I don't recommend you Google because it's, well, it's fucked up. After taking the photos, he decided to ring Necro Butcher to tell him what had happened. And years later in an interview, this is how Necro Butcher recalls it. Oystein called me up the next day and says, Dad has done something really cool. He killed himself. I thought, have you lost it? What do you mean cool? He says, relax, I have photos of everything. I was in shock and grief. He was just thinking how to exploit it. So I told him, okay, don't even fucking call me before you destroy those pictures. Understandably, Necro Butcher was like, pretty, disturbed by this shit, and he ended up leaving the band. The photos weren't the only thing Euronymous done. He also claims that he stole some of Dead's bones and made necklaces out of them and gave them to other black metal musicians that he deemed worthy. He also apparently stole another bone of his that sold in, I think, 2018 for 3,500 American dollars. Along with this, instead of talking about what actually happened with Dead's suicide, he said that Dead killed himself because black metal was becoming too trendy and mainstream, which isn't at all true. It happened because he was clearly very fucking disturbed, and he was living with a guy who was just egging him on and shit. Upon Dead's death and Necro Butcher's departure, Oystein and the other guy, they realised they needed to hire a new bassist and a new rhythm guitarist and a singer. So they hired Varg Vikernes, better known as Count Grishnak, as a bassist. Now remember his name, kids, so that one's going to come up a bit later. And Snor W. Ruch, or Blackthorn, as a rhythm guitarist, and singer Attila Xier. Why do Norwegian people have such confusing names? Like, they're really cool names, but like, goddamn, just call your kid like Mark or something like that. Like, what kind of name is Varg? Or like snore. Jesus Christ. The newly formed band began to work on an album that they'd started working on with Dead all the way back in 1988. This album would prove to be the greatest accomplishment the band ever really made. Now keep that in mind as this story progresses. So they're just in the studio trying to make this album, trying to finish it off, and then this was just going on until the 10th of August 1993, when Grishnak travelled 518 kilometres to Euronymous' home where they were to discuss an unsigned contract. However, Grishnak claims this was a plot to trap him so that Euronymous could torture him and kill him all on video. When Grishnak realised that was the point of the invitation to his home, he obviously confronted him about it, because what are you going to do, is fucking let this cunt fucking... Ugh. Anyway, so to cut the long story, that Grishnak did actually tell the whole story in an interview a few years later. There should be a link to that down below. But to cut that all short, basically what happened is he killed Euronymous, and he was found outside of his house with 23 cut wounds all over his body. That's quite a few cuts. Upon his arrest, the police found 150 kilograms of explosives inside of Grishnak's home. He claimed that he and Euronymous had planned to bomb Nidaros Cathedral, which was a cathedral featured on their upcoming studio album. This was not out of character, as the band was known for being linked to quite a few church burnings all over Norway. And on top of that, the entire group was Satan worshippers, so it would make sense. In fact, Euronymous is quoted as saying that any music can be black metal as long as the musicians creating it believe in Satan, or not believe it, worship Satan, which is pretty fucked. In 1994, their studio album was finally complete. 6 years of long, hard work, so many lineup changes that, it hurts I genuinely don't know how many different changes there were. There are quite a few, but, so many different people contributed to this. And it all just came out in one nice album called De Mysteriis Dom Sathanis, which is a Latin phrase that means about the mysteries of the Lord Satan. And it was ready, it was out. It took 6 years. Fucking 6 years. That's pretty long. Now, the one problem with the release was that Euronymous' parents were against the fact that Grishnak's bass would be heard on it, given that he, murdered their son. So, Necrobutcher offered to re-record the bass lines on all the songs, but he didn't end up doing it, and you can still hear him on there today, which is pretty fucking grim when you think about it. And in the end, the album became something so just beloved and, I guess, revolutionary for the genre. Because after all the publicity they'd gotten from the murders, the suicides, the possible church explosion, the church burnings that happened, they got a lot of publicity, and people, just normal everyday people from all over the world were hearing about this metal band from Norway, which were just mental, and everyone wanted to know what their music actually sounded like. So the album went pretty fucking good, and that's everything Euronymous was against, because all he wanted was a community of like-minded Satan worshippers to like each other's music. He did not want the entire world to look at his music and go, that's good, because for some reason he was really just wanting a small group of people to like it. Which, I guess I kind of like the integrity of only wanting, people who will actually appreciate it for what you made it for. But at the same time, why would you not want your album to blow up? After about a year-ish, the band reformed, and they're still active to this day, but their only original member is Necrobutcher, which is surprising because he left right halfway through all the crazy shit. And the thing is, there's still crazy shit happening with the band to this day. In 2019, Necrobutcher revealed in an interview with Loudwire that he was planning to kill Euronymous, but Grishnak got him first. And then, like I said, there was a bit of Dead's skull or something that got sold for 3,500 American dollars. So much shit. Not to mention, there's still just so many goddamn lineup changes these days. Like, if you Google these guys and just look at the lineup changes, I'm sure you can, there's like a good, probably 5-minute read, which is more than it would be of like any other band, because any other band would just be like, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff I couldn't cover either, because I didn't want to make this a fucking Shane Dawson 49-part series, like 8 hours an episode. So if you really want to know more, just Google them, because you're gonna find some fucking articles, bro. But yeah, if you guys like videos like these, and you're also a fucking sick individual, congrats, because I might make more of these, because this is pretty fun. Like, I got to research and script an entire video, I recorded it, my thumbnail artist was pretty excited about the idea I came up with for the thumbnail. That's right, I made a thumbnail before I even recorded this. And yeah, anyways, have a shit one.